Good morning and happy Thursday. I hope you enjoyed your day yesterday. It was Heritage Day, it was a holiday. It's a Thursday today. And if it was your birthday yesterday, happy belated birthday and happy birthday for today. So, without wasting time, let us get into today's business. So, I want to tell you a story that seems like something from a movie, except it's not. And it ended in a sugarcane field in Brazil. So his name was Timothy James Clark. He was an Australian man, about 46 years old, and people who met him said he looked like an ordinary guy. He had scruffy hair, plain clothes, the kind of pilot who hangs around small airfields and talks about planes. So to neighbors and flying friends in Stellenbosch, he looked like your normal, friendly pilot. But behind that ordinary face and that smile, investigators now say that he was living a double life. So on the 14th of September 2025, his small four-seater plane, a Sling 4, crashed in the sugar cane field in Brazil. The pilot did not survive, obviously, and when police reached the wreck, they found something shocking. They found a 200 kilograms of cocaine in the aircraft, and the packages were wrapped into bricks, and some of them they were even disguised with fake SpaceX labels, like someone tried to make the cargo look like ordinary freight, branded freight. So now the plane was set up to carry a certain amount of things. Reports say that the small four-seater had been modified. So he took some of the seats in the aircraft, and investigators and local reporting show that the passenger seats were removed. 3 or 4 seats that were removed. So he was the only one who had a seat. Obviously, he's the pilot. And according to sources, the extra fuel tanks or tanks in the cabin area were fitted so that the little plane could fly for much longer distances and carry heavy cargo. So that extra space is where the drug bricks now were placed. They were stacked there. And the plane's configuration, the removed seats and the extra fuel is exactly what smugglers use to carry their weight and fly far without landing. Hey guys, this thing is deep. Is deep. And I'm reading so that I will give you a picture of what was happening here. So the question is, how did he avoid being picked up by the radar by authorities? So there are a few basic investigations that were flagged. Is the fact that he was flying low and he was turning off and avoiding the transponder so that the plane doesn't show on the normal civil radar, because as much as traffic is being controlled down here, it's also controlled up there. So that is what he did. He turned off those things and using remote strips or quiet airfields. So Brazilian authorities said they'd been tracking this low-flying transponder-free movement of this aircraft for months. This has been going on for a while now. So before the crash, they have been doing some investigations, which is why local police were already suspicious. So that's how small planes can cross oceans and move under the radar of regular civil tracking. That's how he did it. And now, I want to talk about the question of the money, of how much he made. So, aviation insiders quoted in South African reports estimate that Clark earned roughly 8.6 million per trip in these runs. That's how much he made. The number comes from people who work in small plane aviation circles and have been watching these movements. So the Sling he bought and registered 3 years ago clocked about 1,200 flight hours in that time. And he bought this Sling here in Alberton. It's not very far from where I live. So this guy is an Australian. They found him in Brazil. He's been here to Alberton. He goes to Cape Town and Stellenbosch. So you can see in Jegut, he knows his way around. So they say that he bought that sling, and it clocked 1,200 flight hours in that time. So it shows that from Brazil crossing to South Africa in that small plane needs many more hours. And insiders said like about 40 hours round trip, including legs and stops. So the hours suggest that he may have made 30 Atlantic crossings in that period that he's been working this type of job. So you can multiply that, and it comes from 8.6 million that he makes daily. You can multiply that and think with how many trips in 3 years that he's been going up and down, how much has he made. So he only made 8.6 per single trip. So yeah, and this person had scruffy hair, had plain clothes. I know some people who just by getting $1 million, they're wearing Gucci, they're wearing all these type of things. But this guy was in disguise. You know, he had scruffy hair, he plain clothes, no Gucci, no Louis Vuitton, no Dolce & Gabbana. He just looked, so you wouldn't suspect Gucci he's doing this kind of things. So this is not just small money. Those figures are estimates from the aviation sources and local reporting. So they paint a picture of repeated high value runs than a once-off. So it wasn't a once-off. So where did the plane link South Africa now? Because you might be asking yourself, we're talking about a guy from Australia, and now he lost his life in Brazil. What does that have anything to do with us as South Africans? So there's another reason people here are upset. The plane is connected to Stellenbosch in South Africa, where we are, and reports say that Clark bought the sling in South Africa in 2022, registered under the South African company name Mindframe Creations in local records. So he was known in Stellenbosch flying circles, and aviation sources say the aircraft registration and servicing tied it back to the Western Cape. Even if the crash happened in Brazil, the ownership and pilot's social circle brought the story home. That's why we are talking about this. So was he the only one operating between Brazil and South Africa? Reports suggest that the route is wider, and Brazil to Namibia. They would also go to Namibia, they would go to Mozambique, and then into South Africa. So it was not only South Africa that they made these trips to, and sometimes the plane was registered to or operated from different African countries. So investigators think that the plane had been operating in Brazil for a couple of years and had made repeated runs and touched multiple countries in the Southern Africa. So again, the exact drop points and partners are under investigations, and this was just a certainty of a larger international chain that is going on. So imagine he was here in Alberton. So I've got a little bit of details there, is that he came to Alberton to buy a belt which proves the repeated trips. And yeah, it's shocking. It's shocking, but I'm glad this was found. And now a lot of people were saying in the comment section on TikTok, because that's where I told them the story yesterday, just a snippet of it. We're saying that now we are looking for the big boss, because this is just a drop in the ocean. They must find the mastermind, the person who's up high, the boss. So a few plain facts that we find here is that the crash was on the 14th of September in Brazil. That's where he died at the sea. And the drugs, 200 kilograms of cocaine that was recovered there. And the plane was a Sling 4 modified. Seats were taken out. And the money that he made per trip was 8.6 million. And then he logged in 1,200 hours, suggesting that a possibility of 30 trips, and that's how much he has made. You can make your own calculations. And with that being said, that's what I have for you this morning. I will see you later with other news. And until next time, God bless you and ciao.